Hello and welcome to the Power of Passive Investing series. We have an amazing guest today, Lauren Brychell. Oops, I forgot to ask Lauren how to pronounce her last name. Apologize. So Lauren, help me, please.
Sure, Brychell.
Brychell. Okay, thank you so much for that. Lauren has been in the space of capital raising for a long while, and she'll share with us some of the nuggets of how to capital raise. She's actually been on both sides, LP and GP, so we'll talk about that as well. But without any further ado, Lauren, welcome, and please share with us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing up until this point.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lena. Very excited to be here today and excited to talk further. So, a little bit about me. As you mentioned, I spent most of my career in the capital raising space, raising capital for a general partner in the commercial real estate space, and had an amazing experience. Was able to have a unique perspective of helping build the investor relations department, the investor database, all of that up sort of from the ground up. And I realized there was a niche in the marketplace where someone with experience doing that could come in and help consult on a one-on-one level with different general partners, fund managers, etc. And there wasn't really anything that existed out there. And so I started the firm just a year ago now, where I come in and I help folks with their systems, tech stacks, investor relations training, marketing, social media, etc. Everything on the IR and capital raising side. And it's been a blast. It's been an amazing journey. And as you mentioned, I invest passively as well. I've been an LP in 4 deals so far, and so I have a unique perspective of seeing both sides of the aisle there.
That's amazing, Lauren. Thank you for sharing. We are excited to dive into further into your incredible background and experience, and I'm sure folks on both ends, LPs and GPs, will appreciate your perspective. So let's dive right into that. As you were building system for the company from, as you said, from the ground up, share with us what would you say were some of the challenges that are more common across the industry that you had to overcome?
Sure. I'd say the biggest challenge right now is there's no one system that hits all of the points. There's no one investor portal that has a great CRM that has great automations, and vice versa. So the biggest challenge is picking a couple of different systems in your tech stack that speak to each other, that automate nicely, so that you're not having to duplicate information or have a spreadsheet here and then have the same info go over there. And it gets a little bit complicated. So I would say that's the biggest challenge right now. And so finding systems that work well for the company and their size and their contact list and their capital raise needs, that also has an open API and that can be integrated with their portal or whatever else they're using. It's really important. And it's been a fun challenge to figure out, but it's getting easier these days as more and more tech companies are opening up their APIs, having the availability to integrate with other systems through Zapier or directly or whatever it is. So it's been a big piece.
Thank you, Lauren. And for our audience that may not be as tech savvy as you are, maybe clarify a little bit as to what Open API entails.
Sure. So I am not a techie person per se. So I would say having the back end open it up to be able to automate with different platforms and connect somehow on the back end through a Zapier automation, which is a third party site or something else would be my best description as an open API. So something with a closed API would be a portal or a system that will not connect any way with anything externally to it. So I guess that's
I
very layman's terms.
Yeah, yeah, no, thank you, Lauren. I think it's a great explanation, so it works well. Thank you for that.
Perfect.
And in terms of the tools that an investor relations person for an up-and-coming company would need, what would you say the main features that the IR person would be looking for in their application?
Sure. So I would say the three most important ones would be something for marketing and social media, a
Mhm.
CRM, so you can take proper investor notes, send out scheduled emails, things like that, send text messages, calls that maybe you can record for training later, and then an investor portal. So those would be the three main ones that I would start with if you're looking to raise capital or you really want to start looking to invest in something really robust on the tech stack side.
Got it. And since there is no tool, as you pointed out, that currently offers all three, you guys been using the open API concept, finding apps that are open to integration, and using Zapier or other automation tools, you essentially link them together so they can communicate. Is that what you've been doing so far?
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So for example, if you have InvestNext as your investor portal and you have something like HubSpot for your CRM, you can easily connect those two so they talk to each other and they automate the data across.
And it's all seamless to your clients, to your investors when you talk to them, right? They don't see everything that you're doing behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's all seamless. And really, where the benefit comes in is the investor relations person or whoever is on the capital side is able to have that data flow seamlessly without having to do duplicate entries, without having potential incorrect entries for investment amounts or for emails or whatever that they're looking to do there. So it cuts down on time a lot and potential errors.
And Lauren, you mentioned texting feature as well. So is your assumption that the texting feature would be part of the tool as well?
So, some people like to do texting with their investors. I'm a little bit gun shy on that just because I think blast marketing text messages can be good in some scenarios and hurtful in other scenarios. But for example, if you're using the HubSpot platform, you can integrate something called Alloware, which integrates texting right through the HubSpot app. So you don't have to use your own cell phone, or you can. It kind of integrates either way. And then it also does direct calling as well, or auto dialers. And you can do easy voicemail drops and record calls for training purposes later. So that's one tool that a lot of firms like to utilize, especially when they have a team that they're working on training and making sure the quality control is there.
Got it. Awesome. And how are you solving this problem now? You said that you saw the problem and you started solving it on your own by starting your own company about a year ago.
Sure. So what I've seen more and more across the space is smaller operators or operators with, not having a huge team or a full investor relations department don't have the time or the resources to go out and figure out, okay, what systems do we need? How can we set up automations to make this capital raising easier? Because they're worried about mostly going to find deals, making sure their company is running. Investor relations and capital raising really is a business in itself. And so it's a whole nother animal that a lot of firms don't have time to tackle while running the day-to-day operations and adding new acquisitions to the mix as well. And so what I've done is I've sort of created a fractional investor relations firm so I can come in and help them on that side of things where they might not have the time or the interest or the knowledge on how to set it up properly. And I go in and I do that and I integrate it for them, and while keeping their time spent on what they would prefer to be doing, which is the day-to-day operations.
Got it. And then, Lauren, do you run it for them or you just set up the systems and go?
It depends. Usually I run it for them. A lot of my clients have been with me for a while, which is really great. And so a lot of times I set it up, help them run it, and then stay on for maintenance a couple hours a week just to keep things rolling for them, help set up new marketing emails, do new social media campaigns, build new deal rooms, whatever it is that they need help with that week.
Amazing. I love it. And in terms of the clientele, who are your typical clients? Are they usually real estate firms, or do you work with other industries as well?
Sure. Yep. They're mostly real estate firms, but I've been really lucky to work with some small private equity firms. I've worked with some real estate technology companies. So it's been all across the board, across every asset in commercial real estate, some residential development. So it's been really fun to grow and learn and see all sorts of different businesses from the inside out.
Amazing. And in terms of the systems that you set up, and then if you have to run it, is it primarily to maintain the investor relation function automation, or do you actually work as someone who raises capital for them as well?
Great question. So currently what I mainly do is set up the functions for their existing investor network to make sure that those leads are staying warm, their active investors are being taken care of, really set up the framework for them to take care of what they've got and to look forward to growing and bringing new leads and new investors down the road. So usually they're looking to grow and scale and they need to organize from the base up. I don't raise capital directly for my clients and I don't bring them leads either. So sometimes I'll connect them with partners that do bring in leads through social media or some other avenue, or a lot of times I'll help them figure out events where they can potentially go find new leads within their investor avatar that they're looking for. But I like to stay on the back end and just help them organize from the ground up so that when they're ready to go out, start bringing in a bunch of new leads, raising new capital from outside people. They're ready to go. They know their systems are set. Their leads are not going to be forgotten about, and everything is organized.
Got it. Amazing. Love it. Lauren, another question is, with the increased use of AI in pretty much every single industry nowadays, do you see the need for AI usage in investor relation function? And if so, what kind of some of the examples where you've seen it used or you're personally using it in your business?
Sure. I think it's helpful in a lot of different ways. I think it helps cut down on work. And with AI and everything else, usually once you have something, you'll need to tailor it to make it your own afterwards, or really work on building that brand voice within your AI bot. So I've seen it used for different marketing emails or social media campaigns. Personally, the way I like to use it on occasion is saying, hey, give me a list of 100 real estate podcasts that we can go on, right? And that'll, ChatGPT or whatever will come up with that list. They'll send you links to their website. I'll have my project manager go in and organize the data and then reach out directly or something like that, for an example. But it's really interesting. And actually, another way that a friend and I used it the other day was to vet GPs. And we said, hey, so-and-so company, have they ever had any legal trouble, or have they ever gotten in trouble with the SEC? And, the AI will go out, scan the internet, and it'll come back with some pretty interesting things. And so even on the LP due diligence side, I think, why not stick it into ChatGPT, see who you're looking to invest with, see if anything pops up that might be from 20, 30 years ago. But it was pretty interesting what we found on a couple different operators that we were surprised to see. So lots of different fun ways to use it. But when I integrate it, usually I start with my own idea. And I say, hey, maybe I want to write an article this week on bonus depreciation, and I'll get 90% there, and I'll have it tweak, grammar or something like that. Because if you're just throwing in a topic and having it create the whole thing for you, people can usually tell, and it needs to be a little bit more personal, I would say.
Of course, amazing, and thank you for sharing your experiences. Since you touched upon LP a little bit, let's dive in further into that. How your experience as a limited partner or as a passive investor, which is the same thing, has been impacted after being on the other end of the spectrum, after being a GP, on the GP side, raising money, being on the investor relations side with the real estate firm that you were with?
Yeah, I would say that has really opened my eyes to all the potential different risks and pieces of due diligence that go into doing deals, how important the team and the operations of the company are. And so it's really helped me go deeper into due diligence when I'm looking to invest with a company, especially that I haven't seen from the back end side. So, I mean, it was really just a really unique opportunity for me to learn and grow with my own investing skills, because there are some things that I would sit on meetings and say, oh my gosh, I would have never thought about asking about that, or I didn't know how much the exit cap rate affected the entire pro forma, right? So I just learned more than I ever would, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And so now when I go out and do due diligence, I'm very selective. I have a little bit of fear when investing with people that I haven't seen the back end, because I was able to be lucky enough to see the back end of those companies and some of my clients' companies as well, which has been fun. But yeah, I would say the deeper the due diligence you can possibly do as an LP, the better. I'm a big believer in the gut check as well. If I don't feel right about it after sleeping on it overnight, and I say, maybe I won't put money here, I won't. Even if it's a really interesting opportunity, I listen to my gut, because it's probably right. So just really going in deeper, making sure you do the background checks or the research on the GPs or whoever's in charge is important. Even though it seems a little bit silly, you might know them right from the conferences or just from the industry, but it's important to dive a little deeper just to protect your capital.
Yeah, I love it. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing. So, when you see a new project that you potentially might be interested investing in as a limited partner, what are the top three things that you first look at before deciding if you should dive in further into that?
Sure. So I start with the offering memorandum. Simple. It's the shortest, easiest to read document. If I see a bunch of grammatical errors or inconsistencies in data, I automatically have some red flags looking further, and then I may or may not even go forward into the PPM. So I would say if you're an LP, take a look at those things because maybe the team hasn't had the time or the interest in doing a thorough comb through of that offer memorandum, which potentially could mean red flags in the back end if they just don't care or they don't have the time to even put the document together. Maybe they don't have time to operate that investment well enough, right? So that's not always the case, but that's how I look at it. So that would be my first step. Second step, looking through the PPM, making sure that all the entities are lining up. Look for any interesting legal language that might stand out. If you have any questions, I always ask my attorney about it just to be safe. Because it's kind of, it can be tough to read that legalese sometimes. Making sure that whatever is in the OM does match the PPM in terms of splits, waterfall, fees, whatever that you're looking for. So looking for any inconsistencies or questionable items there, and then diving into the pro forma as well, looking at the rental projections, making sure that those seem legitimate and potentially achievable, and then the exit cap rates, making sure that that is achievable as well. So those would be the top line items I would look at, and then I would ask around the industry. Luckily, we have a lot of resources these days, a lot of LP forums, other spaces where we can ask around and see how other people's experiences have been, how the communications have been, etc.
Very nice. Thank you for that, Lauren. When you said, if I see some legal language in the PPM that I don't understand, I half expected you say I plug it into ChatGPT, but you said, but yes, that's a good answer, of course.
Yes.
Because everything is going, I feel like everything is filtered through some sort of AI nowadays, and if someone still does not use AI in some form or shape or capacity today, regardless what industry they're in or what grade, if they're in school, whatever they're in, then I think they're losing a lot. I think AI has become an essential part of our day-to-day life, and it's getting more and more into our activities, personal and professional in general, for sure.
Agreed.
With that, so let's switch gears a little bit and go back to the GP side. Walk us through kind of a use case where you come in as a consultant to someone is brand new. What do you do? Is it like, are you going through some sort of questionnaire, or do you talk to them first? And how do you even decide whether to take on a potential client or not?
Sure. So I would say most of my clients have raised capital in some form. So usually they're not totally brand new, but they might be new to the system side of things. Usually they've raised friends and family capital at the very least. So I do go through a questionnaire. Usually we talk through pain points where they feel like they're spending too much time and they shouldn't be, what their goals are, who their potential investor avatar is, if they know it. And if not, we go and figure that out. But really it's figuring out their problem areas, figuring out the lowest hanging fruit of, okay, where can we make the biggest impact in your business right now to hit the goals that you need to hit? Sometimes people say, hey, I've got to raise $5 million by the end of the year and I have no idea where to start. So we kind of work through a blueprint on how to get started. Other times it's, hey, my systems are a complete mess and I have to copy and paste data 4 different places. So we figure out that first. We have a little bit of a strategy session. I put together, usually it's a custom proposal on what we need. And usually it's a couple different areas too, right? So if they're like, hey, we've used friends and family capital before, we want to grow and scale outside of that. We look at the tech stacks, make sure those are all set up. Then we do some marketing. Generally speaking, if they're newer, they're not doing a lot of email marketing or anything to keep those potential leads warm in between deals. So we set up those automations, set up that content. We get their social media going as well, more so for social proof than anything. When a potential new investor is doing due diligence on them, we want to make sure that their accounts are active, that they're posting regularly, decent content, right? So that's an important piece that we get started right away as well. And then sometimes I need new websites, sometimes I need new pitch decks. So everything is a little bit customized. And usually I'll take on clients as long as they've got something that I can help them solve pretty quickly. If they've already got everything in place, maybe we'll do a little bit of sales team training if they've already have a big sales team. But generally speaking, I can help somewhere or another. Sometimes we find areas that we didn't know needed help after we've kind of done that discovery, and we add that in as well. So it's kind of like putting a puzzle piece together, or a puzzle, right? Piece by piece. The whole capital raising ecosystem is a bunch of different pieces that do play into each other. And so it's always fun figuring out what the needs are of everyone and then putting those all together.
Of course, love it. I like how you solve the puzzles. From your experience, what would you say has been so far the toughest use case for you to solve from a client standpoint, like working with clients?
Sure. So I would say the toughest use point is when someone has a big capital raise they need to hit right off the bat, because I don't raise capital for the clients, and it's also tough too when you set everything up and we got the systems and processes in order, but then they don't end up following the systems, right? So it's got there are two parts to it. We've got to build it out, and then we have to have the clients follow it, since I'm not the one doing the investor capital raising for them. So those are the toughest pieces. Obviously, if you've got no organic traffic, no social media going, no email marketing, and you need brand new leads from somewhere to raise $5 million in 30, 60 days, that's going to be really, really tough.
Yep.
So that's always the toughest piece. And usually I take those, I'm very upfront of, hey, I don't raise capital for you and I don't bring leads to you. So we're going to do what we can on the organic side, and we're going to pinpoint some events and try to get this done for you. But it's tough to solve that for them just because I can't control that outcome per se.
Of course, of course. And with all the pieces falling into place by using different applications, have you ever thought or had an idea of potentially creating that one-stop solution that can solve all their problems in one place? And if it's a, proprietary question, you don't have to answer, just tell me.
Sure. Yeah, definitely not proprietary. I have thought about it. I don't have any solutions quite yet. I think that Go High Level, a certain platform that's gaining a lot more popularity in recent times, maybe is a closer solution. I know there's still a couple of bugs, a couple of issues with it, and they don't have an investor portal either. But I think that, there are tech pieces coming out that are a little bit closer, but I don't know if I would call myself a tech junkie, and I don't know if I'm the best person to build that out, but you never know.
You never know. Absolutely, I agree. And Lauren, nowadays, you don't even need to know the tech or know how to code, and you can create something in a matter of minutes with the
That's
use
true.
of AI, as we know, which is incredible. I was just watching someone create a website in under 60 seconds, and it was quite impressive. Um,
Wow.
yeah, for sure. So we're definitely going towards the time where most people will be creating things on their own with the use of AI very, very fast. It's just a matter of adapting it and deciding which tool suits your need and then using that tool for sure. Great.
Absolutely.
This has been very, very informative, and we truly appreciate that. At the end of the interview, we always ask two personal questions, Lauren. So, first question is, if someone is interested in using your services or speaking with you further, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Sure. Best way is email. It's lauren@equity-elevated.com, or my website, equity-elevated.com.
Awesome, very nice. And are you on any of the social medias? Can people find you on LinkedIn or other places?
Absolutely. Yep. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram under my business name, Equity Elevated, or my personal name, Lauren Brychell.
Perfect, perfect. I think Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are probably the top three social media websites. So that's perfect that you have the social media presence there as well. And then our last but very personal question we typically ask folks, Lauren, how do you like to give back?
Oh, that's a great question. So I am very passionate about golden retrievers. I finally got a golden retriever puppy of my own recently, but I have been donating and working with local golden retriever rescues in the Colorado area for a little while now, which is my favorite way to give back currently.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations on getting your own golden retriever. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
it's a lot of work.
Yes.
That's amazing. Lauren, thank you so much for this incredible interview. We very much appreciate it. And for our audience, again, if you're interested in reaching out to Lauren, go right ahead. She gave you the email, or feel free to find her on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Until next time, goodbye.